So you might have to do the mixing and the isolating, all managing it on your own as the operator, or you might be doing it as an assistant for the doctor. But in this case, we're going to do it as an assistant for the doctor. That way I'm able to evaluate you. So light on, check prep. Those are always our first steps. We're working on number 19, occlusal. And then I can receive those back. So then I'm going to isolate, because we've decided, yes, we need to do a temporary filling. So now I'm going to isolate on the buccal, isolate on the lingual, and then I'm going to prepare my material. So fluff your powder, swirl your liquid. The powder is this clear scoop. The Reliax was the pink scoop. So you're going to do 2 level scoops. You don't want to really pack it in there because that'll be too much. So just 2 gentle level scoops. And then you end up having to sort of divide the powder. So I kind of bring it in and create like a little square and gently pat it down. And then I'll divide it in half. And then I'll divide it one side into quarters. So I have a half and 2 quarters. Then I'm going to do 2 drops of liquid. And IRM is by feel mostly, so the odds of you using all of your powder is pretty slim. But you want to have it out just in case. So for whatever reason, it's not a very exact science. So then we're going to mix. We're going to start with just half of the IRM powder, and we're going to mix it until everything is incorporated nicely. So I'm just going to move all that half in here. And it incorporates fairly well, the first half. So I've just kind of got like a thick paste. So then I'm going to mix in my quarter, one of my quarters, and we're going for a fairly thick mixture, so it's going to get dry and crumbly. And you're definitely working that spatula pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like clay.
And then at this point I might pick it up and see if I like the feel of it and not drop it on the floor.
Oh, I see it in your jacket. Little
Jacket.
Aha!
Oh, God.
And then I'm just going to use it to kind of pick up any little pieces that are remaining. And then I'm going to work it in my fingers. And basically, if it is to a point where it's not sticking to my glove, so when I'm mushing it around in my fingers, it's not sticking to my glove. It's not really leaving a residue on my glove, then I have a pretty good mixture. I could maybe add a little bit more powder because I want to try to get it as thick as possible. And the heat of your fingers helps too. So if you do that first 3/4 of the powder and then just mush it around in your fingers for a couple of seconds, it warms it up. And then you can actually get more powder incorporated. And you can usually end up using all of the powder. You guys, just because you're so new to it, it might feel a little bit impossible to use up all of the powder. But like I said, that warming it up in your fingers really helps. So after you get the first half and then that 1/4, mixed in. Warm it up in your fingers for a few seconds. Try not to drop it on your jacket. So it basically should be this thick, crumbly pile of material that you can then, again, mush into your fingers as much as you can. And then form it into a ball. And then IRM is so finicky, it's usually best to just pass it as a ball in your palm. Operator picks it up and you can just smash it right into that prep. And then I'll get my spatula cleaned off. And then I'm gonna pass the condenser. Let's see, we formed a ball. Yep, I'm gonna pass the condenser so you can use that to mash it in there. And then after we've condensed it a little bit.
And get it off the side.
Yeah. So you basically just push it into the prep as much as you can. And then I'm gonna give you a burnisher, and the burnisher, you should be able to just basically scrape the excess off. That's okay. It isn't all gonna stay. So then I'll give the burnisher, and then she's gonna start scraping a bunch of that off with the burnisher. That's okay. Good. Here, we'll wipe that away. Yep, and then you just kind of push it down until it matches the margins of the prep. So once we've packed it in there and we've smoothed it with the burnisher, I'm going to receive the burnisher and I'm going to pass a damp cotton pellet, and that's going to help finish the set, and it'll also help clean off any of the excess material. It's very finicky. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, good. No, that's good. The only thing I would do is just a little more scraping off of that edge. It's okay if there's a little excess. It's not gonna be pretty. It's hard to get any anatomy in there. I'm just gonna pull that little piece out. But that's pretty good. That's about what it'll look like. So if you want to zoom in, and because this is important, you guys need to be able to place one of these. So you want to make sure you can see that it's not pretty, but it's at least filling in the hole. And because it's so smooth, it actually self-adjusts. So a lot of times you can have the patient bite down and they'll actually end up adjusting it just from their bite. So then I'm going to get my cotton pellet damp. And pass that to the operator, and then you just use that just kind of to smooth it. And then after the cotton pellet, I like the burnisher again, just to smooth off any last little bits that I loosened up maybe with the cotton plier. Good. Then we need to clear the contacts. We always want to make sure we do that. So operator will floss. Fabulous. And then we need to check the bite. So I'm going to come in and dry have the patient bite together, and then the operator can check it, give any adjustments if it's needed, probably isn't needed, and I'll receive those and wipe off our blue marks. Like I said, you don't have to worry about the bite too much with IRM because the patient will bite down and it'll adjust it because it's still pretty soft. So then, I'll get my isolation out of there. That tongue back in position. And then I'm going to give a rinse. Mouth rinse. You don't normally need to dry, but I do that to herd the water out of there since I don't have a real suction.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to turn off the overhead light, of course, and get the patient ready for dismissal. Then I'm going to give post-op instructions. So we assume anesthetic was used since it is a filling, bless you. So just careful eating and drinking till the anesthetic wears off. Post-operative sensitivity, length, and severity. Since it is a temporary filling, we don't know what's going to happen. So basically, we're just sending the patient home to monitor their symptoms. We don't know if it's going to be better or worse. We have no prediction of this. That's why it's a temporary. So it's really an experiment, and we need them to monitor what's going on with that tooth. Let us know. We usually have like a follow-up appointment in a week or two anyway. So we'll just basically say, monitor your symptoms until your next appointment and let us know if it got better or worse. That's what we're looking for. Eating restrictions, we just want them to be careful eating on this side while they have that temporary filling, because they're not the best fillings. So they can chew over here, but soft things only. Otherwise, try to chew on the other side. And oral hygiene, they can brush gently tonight, and then they can brush and floss like normal the next day.
Okay.
If it's a big temporary and it's interproximal, you probably would want to tell them to be really careful flossing. But for our purposes, we'll just say in 24 hours they can go ahead and be normal with their brushing and flossing because it isn't interproximal. But just keep that in your head of, oh, if it's a big honkin' temporary, then we need to make sure that they're not flossing that. And then the material generic name, IRM is actually a zinc oxide eugenol.
Okay.
So it's intermediate restorative material is the brand, but it's a zinc oxide eugenol. That's the generic. And then IRM stands for, I just said it, intermediate restorative material. And how does it polymerize? It's self-cured. Okay. So zinc oxide eugenol, intermediate restorative material, self-cure. Okay.